Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome once again to the IIUM FM radio. And you're tuned into none other than the Mezan Leadership. I'm your host, DJ Hakimi. Yes, you can always say that, Hakimi. Yeah, derived from the name Abdul Hakim. It's a wonderful conversation today we are going to be having, and we are going to be looking at more opportunities as to looking into the responsibility of leaders. And when we talk about leaders, we talk about what culminates into making a leader. How do you grow into becoming one? What are the rigors that you face in becoming a leader? And to discuss that, we have none other, because today we want to explore the topic for this episode is going to be looking at global scholars blueprint, looking at the blueprint of a global scholar, navigating from Gombak to Cambridge. Yes, you ask me why Cambridge? Yes, our guest today is an alumni of IIUM, and he has navigated from Gombak here in Kuala Lumpur up into the noble university, Cambridge University. I have none other today than Brother Adam Olowo. Brother Adam, I would like you to kindly introduce yourself much larger than I have done to our guest.
Thank you very much, Brother Abdul Hakim. It's an honor to be here. My name is Adam Olowo. I'm an alumni of IIUM. I'm a current fellow at Wolf Institute, Cambridge. I'm a PhD candidate at the University of Cambridge. And I think, that's all. I'm happy to be here, really.
Interesting. I mean, as short as you've said it, I'm going to take a bigger landscape into deep diving into the conversation to highlight some of those things that you said very casual, but goes a long way in making you whom you are today as a fellow, a research fellow in Cambridge. Just looking at, for example, in IIUM right now, where you have sat down for about 4 years during your bachelor's program, there are several students that have been exchanging those seats from class 1, year 2, up until this moment. They've been exchanging those seats. Looking back at, for example, when you were coming back into IIUM after several years, just over the weekend, looking back at that experience, and looking back at those people sitting down or students sitting down in those seats that you have occupied, what does it look like, realizing that your academic journey has pivoted, starting from Nigeria, where your foundation started, and up into coming into IIUM, then moving into HBKU, and again going for 2 masters in the UK, and eventually beginning your journey for your PhD. What does it instill? What does it look like?
Yeah, that's a lot to unpack. Let me start from here. Yesterday, I was walking around the IIUM campus. I walked from Mahalla, Ruqayya, and I came to the faculty. I went to the Mahallas just to, feel what I used to feel. And I was taking one step at a time. And one thing came to mind is that when I left in 2019, I never thought, I would be able to do that. So, and 7 years later, it's just it's my destiny. It's written that I would come back to IIUM and I'll take those steps. Maybe it's the last step that I'll take in IIUM. Maybe it's not. Only Allah knows. But you remember when we came into IIUM the other day, I told you I have a rush of emotions.
Yeah.
Looking at the bus stop, looking at the CAC, which I think is now changed.
Which used to be CAC and now ICC.
Yes. Looking at the Mahallas, I went to Mahalla Ali.
Yeah.
I was just walking about. I went to Mahalla Siddiq and I looked at how everything has changed. And I learned that nothing is permanent. Even the seat you're sitting here. Yeah. Tomorrow the IMFM could be moved to one other faculty or anywhere.
Yeah.
So nothing is permanent. And that's what I learned. So coming back to the question, while I was at IIUM, I'm going to be very honest. When people see me and they say, "What are you studying?" and I say, "Oh, I'm studying Islamic studies, Usuluddin and comparatively," they say, What are you doing there?
What are you simulating?
And you would understand better, Brother Abdul Hakim, because coming from Nigeria, only few courses or trajectory could be deemed, worthy. Maybe like medicine, accounting, law,
mass
engineering,
communication,
exactly.
economics.
So if you diverge from those areas, then they look at you and be like, maybe
What
you
less
lack poverty.
time?
Exactly. So even in IIUM, you see people that are even studying fiqh and usul fiqh and others.
Yeah.
They are telling me that, Adam, what are you doing? Look at you. So, there's that uncertainty.
Yeah.
When I finish, what am I going to do? I mean, the Malays, you see, locals, they are very flexible. You can, even you see someone that studies, Solodin is working in a bank, so it's good for them. But for me, what am I going to do? It's going to be chaos if I go back home with this.
Yeah.
But I have passion for it, so I followed it truly.
Yeah.
And I still have the same goal.
Mm-hmm.
One goal is to reach the peak of my career. And how do I do that? Is to continue studying. So ever since coming to IIUM, I've never been relaxed. I know that I'm in a region where I have to do more than the rest. And alhamdulillah, I had a very good grade. And the test came when I was about to finish my degree. I'm sorry if I'm taking too long.
Of course.
Yeah, the test came when I was about to finish my degree.
Yeah.
And the question becomes, what next? Where am I going?
Yeah.
I was lucky
where do I
go from? So, but just one day, one of my classmates just sent a text, and it was a scholarship application from one university in Qatar. I didn't even bother to read the name. I was like, okay, let me try it. Yeah. And I applied. So fortunately, I got to Qatar, and I did my master's. It was a very good country in terms of the resources and the sort of the length they are willing to go to equip their students with what they need. Yeah. So I remember talking to one of my lecturer that I would like to study. I would like to go to Canada to do my PhD. And it was like, why not Oxford, or why not Cambridge?
Why not Oxford?
And I was like,
why not Cambridge?
Oxford? This is never in my plan. I never saw myself at Oxford or Cambridge. I'm not, although I have good grades, but it's out of hard work. I'm not a genius that actually just comes up with incredible ideas. So what do you mean Oxford? Isn't it a place for geniuses, like we used to say? We know
0.5%.
Yes, exactly. So, but since then I've been thinking, for him to say why not Oxford, it means perhaps I belong there. Yeah. So, but the only issue I have is, and that sort of stereotype is very, it's universal, is that degrees from, I'm being very honest, degrees from places like the Middle East or Asia are not the same standard, or they are not regarded with the same standard as they regard with degrees from Western universities. Yeah. So it would be far-fetched for me to apply. Although I have a friend, it was Amin Umar, who applied straight away from HBKU and got to Princeton in the US. Wow. But I felt like I needed to get that Western experience and embed myself within, Western paradigm. So I decided to go for another master's at SOAS. Unfortunately, I was able to get a scholarship as well. But my going to SOAS University of London was nothing less than it being a stepping stone for me to get to Oxford. Yes. Yeah. So Oxford, I knew that you can't get to Oxford without a perfect grade. So it's been my plan. I need to get this perfect grade.
From day one?
Yeah, from day one. Yeah. Because you can't afford to sleep. You miss one test or you don't do well, it's just 1 year. It's done.
It's done.
So, and you forget about the dream. So, unfortunately, I tried to find supervisors for my PhD. I couldn't find at Oxford. And my supervisor told me again, why not Cambridge? I'm like, okay.
Why not Cambridge?
Potato, it's the same thing. So, and that's how, I ended up. But that's not only it again. I would just like to finalize it here, because there's difference between having the requirement to be there. Yeah. And there's difference between having the resources as well.
The resources.
So as much as you think you belong there, you also need to have that. The amount, the fees is outrageous. So for me, my problem is not getting there. It's also how do I finance myself. So it's two things that are
together.
So it's a very For me, it's one of, I would say it's one of something that I've achieved that I'm very proud of, because I never saw myself there.
You never saw yourself.
Honestly, I never did.
There.
Well, alhamdulillah.
Let me just hold you right there. You never saw yourself there. We are going to go back to the academic rigors of how you were able to navigate that. But just curiosity, I'm just thinking, when you look at the fact that you have to navigate from your background in Nigeria, which I perfectly understand, because I also went through that for several years before the escape. You came in from your bachelor's. I already completed 2 masters before leaving Nigeria. You can imagine. So looking at the culture, from Nigeria to Malaysia, I'm spending roughly maybe 4 to 5 years here in Malaysia. Then I'm going into the Middle East for a first master's, and moving into the UK for 2 masters consecutively before going for your PhD. There is something that comes to mind, the identity imposter, when you are trying to have the identity clashes within yourself in terms of this is the culture I was breathed into, and this is the culture I have been cultivating through my bachelor's journey, and this is the culture here. As I move into my academic journey, I'm being exposed to different culture. How were you able to maintain your identity, your culture, and not speaking? I mean, one would be expecting you to be saying, you go, when we got to, so when we expect that as along the line, but you were speaking in this manner. How have you been able to navigate and retain your identity during all this journey?
Absolutely, that's a wonderful question. Besides IIUM, I had the opportunity to go for an exchange program in Turkey. So that was, my first experience outside IIUM in terms of exposure. Also, after Turkey, I did my master's in Qatar and then to the UK. And in terms of identity, really, I'll start here. One of my teachers, Dr. Badran, when I left Qatar for the UK, he messaged me one day and he said, "Adam, don't forget your identity. You know that you're a Muslim," and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
So, to be honest, it's a battle. And one of it is, I remember taking my first class at SOAS, University of London, and I could hardly hear what the lecturer was saying. The English, Dr. Sean Houghton, the English very fast, and it was online. So, it has its own,
patterns, the way it sounds.
I'll be looking at the slides. I'm used to a setting where teachers come and they read exactly what's in the slide, but here it's just few words and a lot of explanation. So I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? But where I actually felt it the most was at Cambridge. I remember I got there, we had it was time for our, what is it called? This thing that you do before? Orientation.
Yeah.
I'm part of Trinity College. Trinity College is the richest college at Cambridge.
No.
So it means there are lots of, high
resource personnel,
high resource,
networks.
Mostly they are rich children, rich men's children.
Yeah.
So perhaps they also went to the same private school, so they sort of know each other.
Of course.
So I got there, and I saw them speaking to each other as if they've knew each other for long.
Yeah.
And I looked around and I was like, I think I'm the only black man here. Who do I speak to? I think this place is not for me.
Wow.
They're so brilliant, and look at me. Wow. Oh my God, look at their suits, look at mine. Am I going to survive here?
Yeah.
What should I do? Should I speak to this person? Should I not?
Yeah.
So that is one. Because identity for me is a lot. I'm an African, I'm a Muslim.
And a Nigerian.
Exactly, Nigerian. So a Muslim as well, although the college is like I told you, it's a rich college. Yep. It means they are also, made up of rich children.
Of course.
A lot of them are Christians.
Yeah.
So perhaps, I'll let me use this as an example.
Of course.
In Cambridge, you have the dining hall. So we have the kitchen as well. So they make the breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and all students can come and eat. Yeah. I got there and I was like, because you can just use your student card.
Yeah.
I was like, can I have this thing? I was like, is it halal?
Mhm.
And they're like, no, it's not. I'm like, what do you mean? How do I get food here?
Mhm.
Because the idea of going to Cambridge is not just to go and study, it's for me to mingle and
Yeah.
interact with people. And one
Yeah.
of the places you can do that is in the dining hall
Dining,
when you're
yeah.
eating. I'm like, so what do I do? I need to write to them 3 days before.
Mhm.
3 days before I get halal food.
Food.
I'm like, okay. So these are, if I'm someone that is not quite, I don't take my religion seriously. Perhaps I'll just be like, oh, this
Just
is
go for
daruri.
it.
I'll just eat it and go.
Yeah.
But I went to meet the right people, and now we have halal food separately. And
Oh.
these are, so the thing is that there's always going to be that challenge of trying to fit in and out. But at the end of the day, you don't need to fit in. You just have to, in fact, not being different
Mhm.
is your strength.
It's your strength.
Everyone knows me because I'm this black boy that is always coming into this
Tall,
college.
yeah.
Yeah. So what is it? So they know that so I'm different, and you
Mhm.
need to use it to your advantage. So different
Advantage.
sometimes should not be seen as
Negative.
So
Yeah.
I think I'm going. I'm
Yes. I mean, you are able to give us in terms of reality as
Mm.
to how you were able to identify your strength, especially in an environment that has its own uniqueness.
Mm.
And you are also unique in your way. The most important thing, like you've mentioned, is the point of ensuring that one sticks to their own identity rather than moving with the
Yeah.
sound and the beat around.
Absolutely.
Or otherwise, you eventually misplace your identity eventually. But again, looking at your academic strengths and how you were able to navigate them, it has always been distinction all through, if I'm not wrong. And this speaks to first your bachelor's in distinction, your master's distinction, your master's distinction, all the way through. Something must be common in all of this journey. How have you been able to maintain the same standards to have fetched yourself the same results at the end of each program?
Oh, that's a wonderful question. Perhaps I think the best place for me to start is with my dad. Is someone that doesn't recognize effort. It doesn't recognize effort if it's not the best. So your effort needs to be the best.
Mashallah.
So I remember when I finished my secondary education and he took me to Arabic school where I spent 3 years.
Mhm.
So it's always, are you the first? Are you the first position? And you even become ashamed if you don't come up with
I've
the first
nothing
position.
less
Exactly.
than that.
So coming to IIUM, that sort of always want to be. I'm a high achiever, so always want to be. The top of everything is. It's already instilled in me. So coming to IIUM, it was just a little easy, and I'll tell you why.
Mhm.
Because undergrad, you write exam, you write test,
Yeah.
and perhaps you present sometime.
Mhm.
For someone that can read properly,
Yeah.
this is very easy
Hmm.
because first of all, it's what they taught you that is
Yeah.
going to come out in the exam.
Exactly.
So, and if you want to do more, if
Mhm.
they say this is the textbook that we want to use,
Yeah.
it's international relations.
Yeah.
This is the name of the author.
Yeah.
If you want to do more
Mhm.
and you want to take your grade seriously, you
Mhm.
go to the library and look for another textbook on international relations. And
Yeah.
as you're reading the one that is assigned to you,
Yeah.
you're reading the other one. And when you
Interesting.
come to class,
Yeah.
the thing about classes is because you need to be very strategic.
Yeah.
Whenever you go to any class, you need to make sure that you're known. The
Mm.
first 2-3 classes are very, very important. The lecturer must know that,
Yeah.
okay, I have this boy, his name is Adam and
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
So what do? I read up to the 3rd week, 4th
Interesting.
week, and I
Interesting.
come and I be like, what question can I ask that
Mm.
that the lecturer is going to go back and be like, what is wrong with this? So I need to make an impression.
Interesting.
So sometimes it's just making that impression that it matters a lot.
Registered. It's
Exactly.
registered
You
in
need to
the
present
lecture.
yourself as brilliant.
Yeah.
And if you present yourself as brilliant,
Mhm.
the lecturer will see you as brilliant.
Yeah.
And whatever comes from you, because perception is very important.
It's very key.
If you write the same assignment as me
Mhm.
and we submit it,
Yeah.
if she sees or he sees Adam on that assignment,
Yeah.
whatever she's reading
Yeah.
is going to be affected
Yeah.
or colored by that perception of me. It's like, this is brilliant.
This is Adam.
This is brilliant.
Nothing comes from
Nothing-
me except
yeah,
from the best.
Exactly. But if it's another name,
Yeah.
because they're like, but this is normal now. We know this already.
Or you is not always punctual in
Yes,
class, or is
exactly.
always a backbencher.
So I feel like reading more than the assigned work and always planning ahead. I think that's the most important thing. Always planning ahead is very important, because without a goal that you're trying to reach,
Yeah.
you don't have, you can't prepare for it, right? Really, it becomes B is okay, and you, instead of if you aim for A, if you don't get A,
Yeah.
you get A minus.
Of course.
But if you don't aim for anything, you become too relaxed. So I think I'll just leave it there, really.
I think what you said, that is very significant, especially in the context of the student environment where we find ourselves, right, as students in IIUM. It boils largely on prioritization. When students are able to prioritize their tasks and able to do away with procrastination, which most of the time, especially in the current world that we have a lot of diversions here and there, social media, our phones, our online games, trendings, and all of that. And this in itself has its way of reducing our effort in terms of our concentration, if you will. So I think that speaks very large. And for anyone who is able to, just like you've rolled out, set out such goals as making the impression from day one in the classroom, being attentive, being a contributor in the class, always being the one that asks questions, even when everybody says, okay, thank you, doctor.
Yeah.
You are creating a very lasting impression. Even if the lecturer doesn't know anybody, he knows your name.
Yeah, exactly.
And even if there are two people bearing your name, that lecturer will be familiar with your own surname, which is very, very critical. Just taking a bit diversion out of the student environment to what we have right now. You are currently taking your PhD, and your research examines how religion shapes political and electoral behavior. I'm looking from the context of the young leaders using their spiritual values to positively influence public and social environment without falling into polarization. How are you able to inject, for example, looking at the environment you also find yourself, how can a young leader grow in a multi-faceted environment?
Yes. Let me start from here. My research aims to unsettle existing narrative that says that religion is the ultimate decider of political outcome in Nigeria. And this is because of the rise of Pentecostalism. Which is a very powerful force. Yeah. And you see how, for example, Pentecostals sometimes, rather than, I think this work was written by Obadari named Pastoral Power Clerical State by Ebenezer Obadari. And he
Obadari in the context of Nigerian
in the context of Nigerian Christian, yes. So, and he was talking about how pastors are now powerful. And they've replaced the intelligentsia in a way that there is the replacement of the learned or the academic with the pastor. And this is why. When someone is sick, rather than go to the hospital, they go to the pastor. Yeah. And a very good example that he gave was one woman lost her husband, and the husband is dead. But she still did not take it. She needed to go to the pastor and tell the pastor to revive.
Confirmation.
So knowledge, basic knowledge is becoming uncommon because, the pastor is seen to. So the idea is that whenever the pastor tells their congregation to vote for a certain person, they don't question, the pastors have said that. And so that's the kind of narrative that I'm trying to problematize, that actually people have agency. And if you go down to to the street of Lagos or Ogun State or anywhere, and you ask the shoemaker on the road or the akara woman by the side of the road why they choose a certain, they may say that because they gave them money, or they may say that because my child in school they promise us that they'll be giving them food and they give it. It could be for several reasons. It could be for religion as well. So that's why I'm trying to say that let's hear from the horse's mouth. Let's take the debate to the local level where local politics is made and understand what are the criteria that actually determine to what extent the religion actually plays a role in people. So in terms of religion, it could be used, like I said, it could be weaponized in a way that it's used to mobilize people to do a certain thing and taking away their agency. Well, that's true, but it could also be used in a positive way because while I was doing my research, I realized that religion could be a factor in how they select a leader, because it sort of give a perception of morality or ethics, that if this person is religious, is probably a good person.
Or spirituality too.
Exactly. So it has its own advantage if it's used positively. I'm not sure if I actually answer your question. So if you want to go deeper, I'm happy.
Yes, of course. Just I'm just going to look at in just a follow up to that. To what extent are we able to? Because when we look at, for example, from the context of Nigeria, not just in Nigeria, even globally, what you have problematized is also seen not just in Africa. It is seen in other part of the world, even in the Western part of the world, where religious associations are mobilized in congregation to sell the national and also the spiritual goal, which is being funded or being amplified by certain political parties.
Absolutely.
And this being done in a way is trying to achieve the political goal while trying to as well sell the spiritual goal simultaneously.
Absolutely.
And we also see that also in the Middle East as well, where we have certain countries which is being led by theocracy, and we have some other countries as well that is predominantly without any context or without any negative Western narrative, that says or demonize them, and with their use of religion as a tool for such. Yeah. So it is not an African problem per se.
Absolutely.
It is seen in all paradigms. So now looking at that she mentioned the fact that depending on how it is used, be it for positive goal or for negative achievement, how are we able to dissect such, looking at how interfaith decision, depending on whose hand, if you would, lies the power. Whether it is the leftist or the rightist, this also play a very crucial role. How are we able to balance such in making the right leader and also helping to bring about a unified society?
That's a heavy question. Let me go back to the Nigerian context again, because I like giving context to questions. There's the debate about the concept of zoning. Whereby, candidates, presidential candidates, or even governorship candidates are meant to be selected from different regions, but whether the north or south, and also their religion is also considered as well, and their ethnicity to some extent. Yeah. So in order to balance it, so you have a Muslim president or a Christian vice president, a Muslim Hausa and a Christian Southerners. So that's just to balance it. Yeah. So that is the actual this thing. So now, for anybody that wants to win an election, you have to consider how people can be mobilized, and politicians are very good in that. In terms of, they say now the narrative is that Pentecostalism is one of the growing Christian denomination in Nigeria. They have a very large following. You talk about Redeemed Christian Church of God and others. So I'm sure you remember when Jonathan went to this Redeemed Christian Church of God and knelt down in front of
Yep.
the
pastor,
Adeboye. This is the president of a nation kneeling down when it was time for election. So this is how powerful it is that if you do not look, Abadari again wrote a book. He called Nigerian Fourth Republic the Pentecostal Republic, and this is why, because Obasanjo was a Christian Pentecostal. After him was Yar'Adua, but his vice Jonathan is a Christian Pentecostal. After Jonathan is Buhari. The vice is also Osinbajo, a Christian Pentecostal. He is also a pastor.
Yep.
So according to him, the Pentecostals are always at the seat of power. So anybody that wants to win an election has to have either a Pentecostal as the head or the vice if you want to win. Because if you don't... But this last election actually complicated that because we had for the first year, yes. Yeah. So what happened to the Pentecostals? I thought they have that power. Why didn't they? So even though they do, it's just that Nigerian politics is just complex. There are lots of things that comes into it.
Variables.
Yes. Aside from religion, there's the aspect of politicking, rigging of elections, and a lot of things. So. And that is one of the talk that I gave today is that I talked about Foucault's idea of history as event, that everything that happened must be seen as an event, whereby one thing does not make the whole. It's just like an event. For us to arrange this, we had prior conversation. Yep. There's some person that set up this. So there's a lot of things. It's like pizza. There's a lot of things that makes a pizza. Yeah. It's just not just the final so, exactly. Result, yeah. So you can't say, oh, hey, if you don't know, there are lots of things. I don't know. I feel like I've.
So I just want us to just flip it back into the student society, for example, where we would have students that are leading different makeup of students, their team students. I'm talking about maybe a student leader that has other colleagues or subordinates that are from different countries and also with different backgrounds, even though our beliefs are unified. We come from different backgrounds. So for a student leader in that context, where you need to manage interracial conflict and the likes, how do you think is best in terms of practically solving interracial issues as a leader, from the perspective of, if you can, flip into how politics also work through your research?
Yeah, interracial issue. That's another big topic, because Nigeria itself it's a very diverse country. It's diverse along ethnic, religious, and cultural lines. So it's very delicate as well, because it's easy for people to mobilize on that sake, and some people are even ready to die for it. So it's a very delicate issue. It's just the idea or the need for us as a nation to understand that we are one. And I want to link this back to Malaysia, because this is where we are. So I want to flip it back. I remember we were discussing the other day about, I was at the faculty of Usuluddin, for example. I was the only black African there. You won't find a lot of foreigners there. And you see, even from, and this is the honest truth. You walk in, we call ourselves Muslims. Yeah. And that's one identity that sort of brings everyone together. Yeah. So my background, my culture, it doesn't really matter. If I call myself a Muslim, the first perception that you should first have of me is to be a good one. Yeah. Until I prove otherwise. So why do you see me and you just jump, you just like as if you see a crocodile? Because you see me suddenly, you just
the fright approach.
Yes.
Okay.
So why is that? So you're telling me that you're not comfortable with me being there. At first, it appeared to me as something not very good, but I realized that it's just it's more or less the way that the local people are conditioned. So perhaps they're not used to seeing people of that. So I feel like if we really understand the message of Islam, if we truly understand it, we know that it is built on the concept of ukhuwa. Everyone, we are brothers. Innamal mu'minuna ikhwa. So we are brothers. So you don't see your brother and you suddenly just jump away. So the same approach can be used everywhere else. Where I think there's this famous African, they call it Ubuntu, where we are one. We should come together, irrespective of your ethnicity or your region or anything. At the end of the day, one thing actually binds us together, and that is our country, Nigeria. So if one person from the south and is a Christian can do the job, why not vote for him? So far, we have a constitution anyways that gives everyone the freedom to practice their religion or something like that. So I know that this is quite, deliberative. So we're trying to link it as much as possible to...
Just trying to go back to some of those critical moments that you had, trying to reach up onto your programs, finishing them in flying colors, not just colors, but very bright colors as they were. There will be a time that along the line, perhaps, maybe you would have come into some position or situation of intellectual fatigue when trying to meet up with your goal of finishing in distinction. How have you been able to manage fatigue and the need to keep on with the job, studying, keep focus on the goal and never relenting or settling for less?
Yeah, everyone gets fatigue at one point or the other. So if you play football, you get fatigue. If you do anything, you get fatigue. But the thing is, if you have passion and you love what you do, and there's something powerful that drives you, even if you're fatigued, it's just like a gym goer. There'll be days that you don't just feel like it, but there's that discipline, and that's the word. You need to have the discipline. Whether you're feeling sick of seeing book in your room or you're just tired, you want to go for a break. But that discipline is there. That discipline, okay, I need to do this, and I must do it. I need to do this. You always find, it always pushes you to do what is right. So I believe it's just the discipline to always show up and not to accept less. I'm a person that if someone asks me, if a lecturer asks me a question in the class and I don't know it, I don't feel good. I get home and I be like, today is a disaster. So I think it comes with pride. I don't know how to accept mediocrity. So even with that, with the fear that that's why the way I approach exam is I cannot go to an exam all knowing that I leave one page.
Wow. Because
what if the question comes from there? And then I'll be looking at my right and left looking for. So it's that, that fear that what if? So I think that's one. So like I said, fatigue, it's always there. Honestly, it's always there. But it's just to have the discipline to always show up and to give your best. But the thing that precedes everything is having passion for what you do. Because if you there's this famous book, Ikigai, where before you need to even if, like we were talking about, studying Islamic studies, which is not very lucrative where we come from. So even if the outcome of it is not something that is flamboyant in a sense, because you have passion for it, you're still ready to give it your all, and that is so with passion comes discipline, and then with discipline you can get to your goal. That's how you don't miss out.
That's how you don't miss out. I mean, if you are just joining or you are just watching, we've been discussing on the making of a global scholar from Gombak to Cambridge, and we've been speaking to none other than Brother Adam Olowo, who happens to be one of the alumni of IIUM, And we've been discussing largely about himself and looking at what made what before he became what he is now, and also becoming what he wants to be. We've been looking at his journey, his foundational journey, right from this garden of light, garden of knowledge, IIUM campus, and how he has been able to move on a trailblazing accolade back to back. I mean, this is not back to back, it is back to back to back to back to back, if you would. And that speaks to how he has been able to finish up and starting up on distinction parallel. And we've also been trying to explore into his research studies at Cambridge, looking at how he has been analyzing and discussing and also problematizing the issue of Can you remind me on that part? I don't want to create another topic for you.
Problematizing perhaps the intersection of religion and politics.
Yes. So we've been trying to look at that at large, and how we can, as a young leader, flip into that to learn how to navigate our leadership role in the university environment. But Adam, before we call it a wrap, I just want to ask, what will be your parting shot or your short, long message to the would-be generation, or to anybody watching you right now who feels that Cambridge, Harvard, and the likes, therefore the 0.0001 is not for me. United Nations rules at the World Health Organization and the likes, therefore the top is not meant for me. What will you say to such people?
I think the gap that is created for this university compared to others is deliberate. Because naturally, you're conditioned, you don't even think about it. Maybe you just, if I go to this university, it's fine. So, but then that's actually not true. In fact, it's a big facade.
Wow.
So there's nothing like a genius, and you can become a genius if you take what you do seriously.
Oh.
So I think the best thing is to have a plan.
Oh.
Have a plan. You may be in your first year, you may be in your second year. Time, goes by very fast. If you have a plan, you will know that I want to be here in the next 5 years, and this is what I need
to achieve.
These are what I need. I need to have one publication. I need to be right. If you're a communications student, I need to be speaking more. These are the things that I need to get here. Because as the hallmark of success, I think every successful person must be able to anticipate. You must, and that's it's not a skill that is actually that requires
going to the moon.
Yes, exactly. You need to anticipate what is coming next, and how do I deal with it?
Prepare for
because why people fail is like boxing. It's the shots that you don't see that actually knock you out. Yeah. So why someone fail is because immediately they see that challenge, they don't know how to respond. But you know that, this thing is coming. I need to be positioned here. Yeah. You're driving to a certain point and you're turning right. You need to keep right from a very long distance. Yeah. You don't stay on the left side and then you get to the point where you're going to, and then there are lots of cars, and then you have to go this way before you come back. Yeah. So it's just about planning. Plan, be passionate about what you do. Anticipate and get ready, honestly. There's nothing you can't achieve.
There's nothing you can achieve. It has to be calculated.
Yes.
You have to ensure that you don't just anticipate, you calculate. Exactly. You prepare yourself for it.
Absolutely.
And when the time comes, you are able to present yourself and see it as an opportunity. So in a short, there is nothing like a coincidental success.
Absolutely.
It has to be well premeditated, taking right decisions, and equipping oneself with the right tool to be able to fight the right battle.
Absolutely.
And that is the message for all of our participants, or all our students, our listeners right now, that going to Cambridge is not for aliens, it's for everybody. If Brother Adam can, Hakimi can also be there.
Absolutely.
And you as well, you can also.
We're waiting for you.
Yes, inshallah. Inshallah. So right now is not too late. You've just heard that our guest also took 2 masters, and all in flying colors. You can also take another if you want to, and never say never. Your age is not too high to achieve that. And we are going to leave it at that for today's episode. And thank you very much, Brother Adam, for stopping by. It's a long journey coming down from the UK. And
I really enjoyed this conversation. Thank you for having me.
Alhamdulillah. We hope to meet again, inshallah, in a much bigger place. Inshallah. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.